from Education Vibes. Welcome back to our channel again. Today in this video we have Jagriti who works here as a UK specialist. She helps students for the UK universities in their admission process. Also she helps the Indian students in their visa and accommodation as well. So specialized for UK country. So I welcome you Jagriti. Thank you for joining us today. And Jagriti, the thing is, students have put a lot of questions on our portal, and we have come across certain questions for which I'll be asking you, and I hope students that you get the valid answer from Jagriti. So Jagriti, my first question to you is, why should students should opt UK specifically to study their bachelor's, master's, or whatever the course? And what's so special, what's so important in UK that I have seen in my entire career that 80% people prefer to study UK every year.
Yes, yeah. So talking about, I can give you a few list of the things that UK can provide you. Firstly, I would say the courses over there are for shorter duration, right? So in wherever country you will go, you will be getting 2 year of post study work, 2 year of post study
Work visa, right.
work visa.
Yeah.
But then the course period is for 2 years.
Okay, so 2 plus 2, you mean?
2 plus 2, yes. But then when you will go towards UK, you will be getting your degree after 1 year itself. So you will be getting full session master's degree after 1 year,
1 year.
which is recognized all over the world, wherever you go. Even if it's for 1 year, it is recognized. Other than that, talking about scholarships. So UK is a very nice country in terms of getting scholarship, and you can expect 2 to 5 lakhs of scholarship.
Oh, alright.
On your tuition fees. Other than that, like I mentioned, the post-study work visa you will be getting for 2 years. Once you go in the UK, you will be getting the cultural exposure on top of it, right? You need to have the hands-on experience on the practical knowledge rather than theoretical. See, in India, for example, right, we focus much more on the theoretical part rather than practical learning. In terms of that, UK is a good country where you will be getting hands-on experience on the practical learning as well as theoretical.
It's like learning by doing. Unless you don't do it, you won't learn anything by just stepping into the theory. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. My next question is, Jagriti, I have come across a lot of questions where students have a lot of study gap. For example, after 12th, they have not given their graduation, or if they have done their graduation, then they step into the work experience, and even without work experience, they want to go for the masters. So how many years of study gap is actually accepted in UK, or how do they justify the gap?
Right. Okay. Talking about that, I would start by telling for bachelors, right? Now that if you have completed your 12th, right, you can still do your bachelor's straight away after completing your 12th. But then if you have the gap year, let's say if you have the gap year for 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, that is acceptable. But if it exceeds other than 3 years, then you cannot do your bachelor's.
Okay.
That is for bachelors. Talking about your masters, once you have completed your bachelor's, you can still, you know, there are people who go into organization, they are working in different fields. So there are people who are getting the experience in the organization, and once they have the experience, they can go for their masters. And you know, the acceptable rate is around, you know, if you have the gap, let's say for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, considering you are justifying your gap, everything is sorted and you can apply for masters as well.
Alright. And another thing is entrance examinations, for example, their English proficiency tests. So a lot of students basically think that getting any score in IELTS or PT during like these exams is okay. So everything is acceptable in UK. What are your thoughts about it?
Now if I talk about IELTS or any English proficiency exam for that matter, firstly you will be getting the waiver for the English proficiency exam.
Okay.
Right? But then if you have gap year towards the higher side, let's say if you have the gap year for 4 years, right? If you're applying for a master's, if you have gap year for 4 years or 5 years, you need to justify that you are proficient in English language. For that, there are a few exams that I can count here. So starting with IELTS exam, if you have heard about it. So IELTS exam is basically the exam for English itself. And the overall band, you have to score at least 6 in all the modules, and overall you have to score at least 6.5 out of 9.
Out of 9. Depending upon the various university, what they
Yes.
require out
Yeah.
of 90, your band should be different as per the different university.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Other than that, I can give you the name, one more name, which is TOEFL, if you have heard about it.
Yeah.
So TOEFL exam, the maximum score for TOEFL exam is 120.
Okay.
Out of which, if you are scoring 80 or above 80, right, you can easily get into any of the university, right? Other than that, if I talk about PT, now PT exam is out of 90 marks. Right, and in which you have to score at least 54 in order to get the position in the university.
Okay.
But on the other side, I would say, if you do not have that huge gap between your studies, then you can go for exam waiver as well.
Okay. Can students go to UK to study without IELTS? Is it possible?
Yes, it
No
is.
matter whether you're going for masters or bachelors.
Yes, it is possible.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, you need to have the gap year from 1 or 2 years.
Right.
If you span of 1 or 2 years, then you can go without the IELTS or any exam for that matter. But if you're towards your gap year is for 3 years, 4 years, then you have to get the exam.
Jagriti, next question to you is, students basically face a lot of rejection during their visa time. So how can they overcome it, and what mistake do you think they do so that it get rejected?
Right. Okay. At the time of visa, you need to consider a few things, and you need to keep everything in mind before going for visa interview as well. Right. So at the time of visa, at the time of biometrics, if you have insufficient funds,
Okay.
right? If you do not have the proper academic background, right? If you have missed any
of
document of yours, right? Other than that, like I mentioned, if you have poor academic background and if you didn't perform that well in the visa interview as well, that might create a problem at the time of visa as well.
And even your law and order, like you should not be involved in
any crime.
In any crime or in any judicial custody or something.
Absolutely.
Okay, so even a single thing you miss out of these, then you may face visa rejection. Can they reapply for visa if they get rejected once?
Yes, so they have to wait. If your visa is rejected, you have to wait for a year.
Year?
Yes, then only you can apply for visa.
Okay, okay. Supposedly a student get visa acceptance, and how they can pay their amount or the after deposit, the another half amount of the tuition fee or another part of the documentations or anything which is left to be paid to the university. How can they pay it?
Right. So there are several options available to you. Now, if you have someone in your family who can fund you, you can ask for their confirmation that they are going to fund you during the time span. Other than that, if you are not that sufficient, you can take educational loan as well.
Okay.
And in terms of that, you can straight away take the educational loan and then you can proceed with the process. Other than that, there's one more thing that you need to consider and keep in your mind. If you have the funds in your bank account or in your parents' bank account, you need to keep that funds in your bank account for at least 28 days. And keep this in mind, it should not exceed more than 31 days. Okay. So in the span of 28 to 31 days, you have to anyway apply for the visa.
Okay.
So it should not dip the amount which is mentioned. It should not dip other than that.
So, thank you, Jagriti. Thank you so much for answering these questions. I hope students, these answers have answered all of your doubts by now. So, if you wish to study in UK, you still have a chance for the September intake. And for more info, click on the link below. Thank you, Jagriti.
Thank you so much.